it's so dangerous, your camera. Surely, it's money, you know?
Thank you for the warning.
And it's your life, too.
Hey, muchas gracias.
Take me a photo.
Guapo. Ah. Bella, muchas gracias. What's going on, guys? I'm really excited to show you the POV footage from my first 2 hours of shooting street photos in Mexico City. Now, I want to warn you before we roll this video that my Spanish is absolutely cringy. It's terrible. I haven't practiced it since high school, and I probably got a couple of things wrong in this video. However, I think there's a really important lesson here because one, when you're traveling, you're going to be inspired and you're going to want to take street photos regardless of whether you know the language in the country you're in. And second, it's a testament that interacting with strangers does not have to be that difficult and you can have a really positive experience with someone without even saying a word. So if you are a shy photographer, I think you'll find these tips helpful whether you are photographing in your home city or town or in an international city where you don't know the language. So definitely stick around for the end of the video because I've got a whole tutorial for you. That being said, let's roll the POV footage. Yeah.
Es que no puedes tomar fotos, amigo. Amigo,
Ah,
no le puedes
lo
tomar
siento.
fotos,
Ok,
por favor.
no problema. Mira, verde, verde.
Is my plant.
Oh, lo siento.
It's okay, no problem. A la señora con nosotros. ¿De dónde eres? ¿Qué país?
Yo vivo en Nueva York.
Nueva York.
Sí,
¿Pero eres de italiano o de descendencia libanesa, israelita? Algo así?
yo soy americano. Disculpe, ¿puede tomar su fotografía? Muchas gracias. ¿Puedo tomar su foto? Muchas gracias. Tú eres mucho guapo. Gracias. ¿Nada más? Gracias. ¿Puedo tomar sus fotos? Muchas gracias. Ah, gracias. Ah, gracias.
Aquí estamos.
¿Reflexionares?
Ya.
¿Cómo se dice reflexión?
Sí.
¿Puedo tomar una foto? Ah, muchas gracias. Tú eres guapo. Hasta luego. Hope you guys enjoyed that POV footage. Now I want to talk about some of the strategies that I used in this video that I think you'll find very helpful. So starting off, let's talk about avoidance tips. There are many ways in which I tried to avoid talking with my subjects because frankly, my Spanish is not good enough to have a full conversation. So I tried to keep things to a minimum. And again, this works great whether you're in a foreign country or your hometown. Some of us are shy and would prefer not to talk to our subjects. So 4 simple tips. Number 1, shoot with the zoom lens. You'll notice I was using a 24 to 105mm Canon lens throughout most of this video, and I tend to shoot very zoomed in, oftentimes up to 105mm because it helps me keep a distance from my subjects, avoid confrontation, and it complements my style. I really like doing compression with lots of different framing techniques, and the further I am from my subjects, the more opportunities for framing I have to use in the foreground. Number 2, mirrors. Mirrors are a really popular element in street photography because 1, they look really artsy, having a reflection, but 2, because they let you avoid pointing your camera directly at a subject. You instead get to shoot at the mirror, and the subjects oftentimes won't notice you or aren't as sure if you're taking a photograph of them. So it makes it a lot easier, it diffuses the situation. I personally, when shooting mirrors, like to try and incorporate my subject and their reflection in the shot, so you have both of them in the same photo. I think it's a little bit more interesting than just having the simple reflection, but personal preferences, definitely shoot some mirrors. Tip number 3, being there first. This is one of my favorite tips that I recommend to all beginner street photographers and use myself all the time, and that is by having a shot ready to go, pre-composed, and letting strangers walk into your frame. It flips the script on street photography. No longer do they feel like you're chasing after them, they feel like they're getting in your way. So they might even apologize to you, even though they're making your shot. So it's way less confrontational. People don't realize you're singling out them because they just happen to walk through, and oftentimes people won't even notice you. So very easy, very effective way to get great photos, and incredibly non-confrontational, checking all my boxes for international street photography and street photos in your home city. And tip number 4 is staying off of main pathways. So you'll notice that throughout most of this video, there was a main walkway where all the shops were, and I stayed on the exact other side, walking behind all the vendors. This led to more compositional opportunities, like using the tents for framing, as well as less confrontation with my subjects because I kept a pretty good distance from them. Being a successful street photographer requires anticipating human behavior, and a big part of that, a very easy way to do that, is following the trends of foot traffic. So notice where are people walking, what are the busiest parts, where are the interesting interactions happening, and keeping an eye out for those things, posting up where those things are happening, and being patient. There is a whole lot of waiting involved in this process, and while I showed you the sexiest 6 minutes of this video, there were an hour and a half of other clips that you have not seen because they were unsuccessful. I didn't get shots that I was proud of, and very rarely do I get that many shots I'm proud of. In this video alone, I shot maybe 2 or 3 photos I really like. The rest, I just wanted to show you for examples. So anticipate your own anticipation. You're gonna have to wait, and hopefully it pays off for you. Moving on, let's talk about communication tips. In this video, you probably noticed that there was some really positive interaction with people who couldn't speak a lick of English. And I think that is a beautiful example of how it's more about human connection than it is sharing a language. And with the right energy and attitude and body language, you can end up sharing a laugh with a stranger whose language you can't speak. speak, and I think that is a really beautiful thing. So 4 tips for having those positive experiences. Number 1, this is an obvious one, but I'm going to say it anyway. Be friendly, smile, bring a good energy to the table. It is so incredibly important. Number 2, show respect. Look people in the eye, shake hands, show people the photos you shot of them, and offer to send them an email with the shots because they might really love that. The golden rule is still really important in street photography. A tip for the purists who feel that street portraits are not the same as street photography, one of my favorite techniques is before I ask someone for their portrait, I've already shot 1 or 2 candid photos, and then I have my portraiture shoot, and then when I'm leaving, I then shoot 1 or 2 more candid photos. So you can still have both in the same interaction. Even if you shoot a few candid photos, then ask them for a portrait and they say no, that's still gonna be a way more positive interaction than if you take those 2 candid photos and then just keep walking without any acknowledgement of their existence. Treat people with respect, super helpful. And 3, you're gonna need some basic phrases. Hello, how are you? Can I take your picture? People typically respond with either yes or why, and you need to have a very simple response lined up. I typically have something like, because you were handsome or because you were beautiful. I know it's tacky, but I feel like I can be more tacky when I'm speaking a language that isn't my own. Thank you, and sorry, I don't speak blank. Those handful of simple phrases will take you incredibly far and also fits in with the showing respect to people, even if they might speak English, as some of my subjects did. Some don't, and it's nice to show the effort in speaking their language. I will admit I've been in countries where I haven't taken the time to learn these phrases. In Vietnam, I found myself doing a lot of very simple body language, pointing to the camera, pointing to them, smiling, and maybe saying the word photo, which is pretty internationally recognized, and that can get you pretty far. Whatever works for you. Quick side tip, when you take street photos, make sure you're not listening to music, no headphones in, no sunglasses on. You want to seem very present, because especially when you're talking to people, if you seem like you're 50% there, that sucks. Tip number 4, Google Translate. This is one of the most powerful tools, and sometimes your language skills are gonna fail you. You're gonna wanna say something more complex. So pull it up in the Google Translate app, don't be afraid. Give it that nice 90-degree rotation. This is my favorite tip in the world, and it's gonna make it nice and large. And if you're wondering, this says you need to subscribe to me. That is true right now. I swear this is not what I say to the people I'm communicating with in foreign countries. If you'd like me and like traveling with minimal to no data service, I recommend downloading languages on offline mode when you have Wi-Fi so that when you're on the streets, you can still translate words without service. A couple final tips. You may have noticed that my style was a bit less aggressive than it is in the US, and that's 100% true. I definitely prefer to play things safe when I'm shooting internationally, because if you have an angry person who can't speak English, it's a lot harder to walk them off that ledge. So I tend to be more respectful, take things a little bit slower, take less risks, and be quicker with my street photos. Definitely not as bold as I am in the US. Also, be very certain of the laws in the country you're shooting, because street photography's legality differs from country to country. In the US, it is very legal. In other countries, it may not be, so be aware of your rights. It's very important to know. One last thing, I hate to be the concerned parent here, but I do feel like after encouraging you guys to go take street photos in a foreign city, I should also warn you one more time, you are pushing your luck as a tourist, taking photos of strangers in a place where you can't speak the language and can't explain your way out of situations. So be careful, be cautious, be respectful, and you'll have a much better time. Last thing I want to say is I have a part 2 of POV street photography from Mexico City that is coming out hopefully next week. I actually think it has all the best photos I shot in that video, not this one, so definitely keep an eye out for that one. Leave a comment below letting me know how you liked this video and if you enjoyed it, if you want more. And lastly, subscribe for more videos. I really appreciate you guys' support, and I will see you in the next video, or eventually.